If you can't, okay. Can they see anything? I can't still. Oh, that sounds good. Okay. Does that work better? How about this? Can you hear me? Oh, that's something. Okay, it's taking a little while to get through. Okay, that works. Test the mic. Okay, you got it? Okay, it should work now. Okay. Uh, okay, well, welcome to the second awarding of certificates on the Patchwork for Wildlife project. And we started this year on Earth Day. We awarded the first 15 certificates, and we've gone on from that. And we have quite a number more now to do. And we have quite a number of people showing up. So this should turn out pretty good. Basically, I'd like to welcome the EC members, the awardees who are here, and others who have dropped in. Appreciate seeing you. And of course, Peter Ventris, who is the counselor, and he's the liaison to the Environmental Commission. This is a pretty unique project to Lake Como, and we're very proud of it. And we're trying to make a difference by having homeowners get involved with creating more environmentally or eco-friendly yards throughout the borough. So now we're going to start in doing the certificates. I'll start by sharing my screen, and we'll go through the agenda. Okay, well, here we are. This is the project is the Patchwork for Wildlife, and the idea is to mobilize residents to create an extensive environmental landscape, including habitat and food for wildlife and pollinators, all 1 yard at a time, okay? And if we do parts of 100 yards, we'll have the equivalent of an acre of eco-friendly land, and that's not an easy thing to do. That's very much to be valued because Lake Como is completely built out. Okay, Dr. Weber is the chair of the Environmental Commission. I run Candide's Garden and Friends, and Peter Ventris is the counselor of the Environmental Commission liaison. Our approach is to evaluate ways homeowners covered the ground based on 15 example yards, which we dealt with earlier in the spring. We award certificates of achievement. We're creating an incentive program with nurseries and contractors, and we are displaying the results on our GIS map. And we use Candide's Garden as a source of actions which can be taken. And I think we'll go over that now. There's Candide's Garden. We see it as a comprehensive menu of environmental solutions. Candide's Garden, the name comes from Voltaire's character in his novella Candide, and there's Voltaire lifting the wires up so you can see Candide's garden. And that basically Candide's garden consists of 5 layers. First of all, there's the landscape and garden layer, where there's a variety of ecologies, garden types, and uses, which provide a menu for making environmental improvements. There are 500 different kinds of plants, 400 of them native. We have 15 different teaching beds. Then every yard butts up against the streetscape. And so we have to make accommodation for that, for pedestrians and cars and things like that. And of course, the local ordinances. And that's that layer. The third layer is how we cover the ground with pervious or impervious surfaces and so on. And the fourth is the operations which are sustainable, which we reinvest all of the products of nature that come up from the gardens, from leaves to branches and so on, to compost and composting and whatever, to then reinvest that in the garden. And the last one is the soil, where we respect what the soil has to give us, and we make the minimum amendments for so that the garden can develop and grow. So we aim to educate local homeowners, youth, and organizations in environmentally beneficial landscaping and gardening. And the garden also serves as a hub for local environmental information and for facilitating the efforts of volunteers. And there's where we're located, all right? And then this drawing came about because when I went to my 50th reunion at Rhode Island School of Design, RISD to some, I met up with David McCauley, who was one of my students. I taught structures to architects in order to pay my way through RISD. And he got very interested in Candide's garden and decided, John, I'll do you a drawing. Well, 6 months later, we had this drawing because he kept nagging me to say, what is this drawing about? What is it about? And finally, I came up with the 5 layers, and that's the result. It's a visual explanation. And it won the Environmental Achievement Award in 2018, which is very nice. And it's opened in 2017. And 2022 will be our 5th anniversary, and we're going to have a big shindig in the middle of the summer sometime. Okay, so that's Candide's garden, and that's the model for judging all of the other yards that we'll be looking at now. Now, these certificates, we start at the bottom. We have 3 different levels. We have entry level, this single action, maybe 2. For example, you plant a tree from our seedling nursery. Okay, beneficial is where you have multiple improvements across the whole yard, and it can be the front or the backyard. And the maximum award is possible if it's only a front yard or a backyard. Okay, so you can't get a distinction level unless it's the whole yard. Now, the distinction level, which is very special, there are extensive improvements practically possible, and it covers the whole property. And it includes environmental improvements like pervious surfaces and stuff like that. Here are the entry-level certificates. This is a certificate. It has what it is, the name of the person and the address, notable features, a thank you, and it's signed by the chair of the Environmental Commission, Mayor Higgins, and myself. The first set, and these kind of grouped, these entry-level ones, were partially paved pervious driveways. Instead of concreting in the whole thing, you leave some land so that the water can percolate through and not run basically into the sewers and then straight into the lake, still toxic. So here they are. And on Laurel, there's San Giovanni, Vivolo, Alpa, and then on Parkway, there's Janane, Richardson, Taylor, Plodgic, and Kenny. So thank you very much. We appreciate what you've done with your driveways. Then there's plants and borders, okay? And this is, you can see there's a plant here, there's borders and inkberry holly, a variety of different wildflowers, and a rose bush and so on, fig tree, another border with a combination of plants and vegetables and so on. So on 18th Avenue, there's Carson, and Laurel, there's Doring Parkway, there's Noonan, Puglisi, Barbarello, Higher, Cummings, Downing, and Carr. So thank you very much. You've done a wonderful job. We appreciate what you've done. And so maybe this will spur you to add some other improvements and move on up to the beneficial. Who knows? And then there's some where there are flower beds, which don't have a lot of natives in them, but they're flower beds. There's no lawn. The lawn has been reduced or removed. So that's a great improvement. And you can see most of these get rid of the lawn. This one down here still has a lawn, but it has clover in the lawn, which feeds the lawn naturally and avoids having to fertilize the lawn, which is a main reason for nitrogen going into the lake, because the lawns don't take up all the fertilizer that we chuck on them. So on Parkway, we've got Elmo and Posty. On Laurel, there's Connican and Magistro. On Newman, there's McCafferty, and Christopher is on 18th Avenue. Okay, thank you very much. So if we go on to beneficial level, you have the name again, the notable features, and thank you, and then the signatures. Okay, this is the beneficial level one. The first one, we do a little special thing, which because it's the Side Door Cafe up on Main Street, and what they've done is done a whole lot of planting around the where they could have, because it's all pavers, you know, a whole lot of planting there, and they've actually got some vegetables in there. In the back, they've got a whole load of different vegetables that they use, and they feed the hungry with these vegetables. And the biggest thing, perhaps, is they have like a food pantry, and where they take donations of food and pass it out to all sorts of places, like the churches, the assisted living facilities, and food pantries and stuff like that. They also do goods and clothes when it's cold and things like that. That little store has a phenomenal number of things going on, all for the good of the folks who really need it. So thank you very much. This is wonderful. They have a beneficial certificate. Then on to others, the homeowners. This is the Mayersons. They've got no lawn in the front, which is great. They've planted the verge, so they're maximizing the green. They have a combination of flowers and vegetables on the side. They have a pretty extensive hard standing area because they have large groups of people come by, okay? And they put in some trees, and they actually had beans growing up the wall here, you see, which is making good use of the space. So thank you very much, Eric and Janice. And then here's over on Bradley Terrace, Lisa Hershey, who has gotten rid of her lawn mostly, except for a pervious walkway through there and a pervious driveway. And there's not that many native plants, but we're looking for that to meet some substitutions. But that's a really good. The main thing is getting rid of that toxic lawn. So well done, Lisa. Cheers. Then Barbara and Bob Rumsby, they've got native pines here. They've got a beautiful garden in the back, which has a bunch of natives in it here and here. They've reduced the size of the lawn. See, that's not just a little border. That's quite a bit of it. And so, Bob uses an electric mower. So that's helped on what Lonnie does have. they don't chuck carbon dioxide in the air. So good for you. Well done. Thank you. And Marion Kavaski, who has a whole variety of things going on. She has a pervious walkway. She has a raised bed vegetable bed. She has water for the birds, and an area, many planted areas, some big trees, much reduced lawn, and she has some natives, not a lot, but quite a few, and so that's an excellent an excellent thing. There's very little impervious surface on that entire property. Very little water goes out into the street and into the lake from that property. So that's excellent. Here's Francis Verdes, which there is no lawn at all, and is planted everywhere with some natives. There's native yucca here, and use of the space. A lot of use of the space is made. Some trees, which provide shade and shelter and berries and stuff like that for wildlife. So that's a really nice effort as well. So excellent work, Francis. Thank you. Then we've have Heather Butts, who is from Staten Island, who's done some wonderful things for the borough. Has a community garden where she takes plants from Candide's garden and emulates a lot of the things in Candide's garden, not just in this garden, but some other ones. But this garden does just about all you can to make a good garden. It has all the vegetables on one side and the flowers and bushes on the other side. They give away vegetables, again, feed the hungry. They have rain barrels. They have little free library for books. They have a number of different composting systems. They're part of the New York City composting project. There's a winterberry holly, which is a great native shrub, which provides berries for the birds. They also have a bee habitat, or whatever you call it. That's for the bees, native bees to live. So this is an excellent thing for a community garden. So it's very nice up in Staten Island. Cheers. Now on to distinction level, which is extensive improvements over the whole property. And here's one for Ginny Hewitson and Warren Kehrveeder. And there's their notable features and so on. Let's go through and look at some of the pictures. Here's theirs, Ginny and Warren. They have virtually no impervious surface, just a little bit there, and a short driveway. They have all pervious surface. They have loads of planting. Their minimum area for seeding, and the rest rest pervious. They have trees galore, which have way of a huge factor in because trees are very valuable for habitat and so on. And then where they have slanted sloped hillside and so on, it's all ground covers. So there's no lawn here either. Okay, which is excellent and a good tree cover. Here's Beverly Postes, who has done the same thing. That little bitty lawn there, the minimum you need, and a minimum for having guests. The backyard is full of plants, a high degree of native plants. She's a master gardener, so she knows her stuff, and she's done a wonderful job. She's got some trees on the west side which can shade the yard, and she's planted the verge. There's no parking there on the verge, so you can actually plant it because there's not a lot of movement back, and she's got paving stones for people to go across if they do park there. So this is an excellent yard as well. Well done, Beverly. Thank you very much. And again, Jackie Bonavito on Laurel Terrace, all in the front here, no yard, no lawn. This is a beach plum in spring. This will match up against any other tree for beauty, and then you get the little plums off it as well. So it's wonderful. There's ground cover, phlox, which is native, there's and in the back, it's all full of native plants. This is almost 100% native plants, which is just wonderful. She's a master gardener, qualified as a master gardener as well. And she has hardy cactus, this opunta, which covers right up in the front of the yard there, and there it is in bloom. So it's actually a very pretty yard as well. So well done, Jackie. Thank you very much. Then there's Rochelle and Rusty, who have this is the front of it here, where they have a lot of shrubs. But one of the distinctive things about it is their trees. They have 13 trees on their smaller property. They manage to cram them in. They do very little about the lawn, so they're not fertilizing, they're not watering, they're not mowing and stuff like that. In fact, the front bit here is all no-mow grass. I was digging up some of my no-mow grass to put in a new bed, and they got it. So that's all no-mow there. Now, too bad we don't have a better shot of that. They have raised vegetable beds. That's the only bit I could get. They've got other ones there. And all along this fence, they have vegetables and vines and orchard trees. And here's an example of it. Here's a pie cherry tree. And there's the cherries, and she makes jelly out of them. That's fantastic. And then, of course, the grapevine, which is does really well. Okay, they keep that in check even. So well done. Oh, and they have a pervious verge, and they also have a partially pervious driveway. So well done. That's excellent. Excellent show there. Cheers. Now, the last one I've had Victoria and Courtney describe theirs. They have done a number of things which are just exactly the right thing to do. It's amazing. They've reduced the size of the lawn in a number of different ways. This one is with rock garden, okay, with stuff growing between. Another, they have spring ephemerals, the daffodils and things like that, and ground covers in here. And the front above, which I just love, they're replacing what's left of the lawn with moss, so you don't have to do anything to it, and that's all moss there, and it's just moving up, and there's their pervious walkway in the front, and then in some areas where they need to walk, they've got pervious pavers there to reduce the size of the lawn. They reuse the things that come from the yard. Okay, and one of the things they reused when they had to do an excavation here, because for drainage and so on, they created a rotating drum which separated the pebbles or stones from the soil. They collected them, and that made their walkway right there. That's their walkway. So they reinvested. They reused what the soil gave them, which is a very interesting idea. Then in the back, the fruits and vegetables, they have a protected vegetable area, so they get to eat some of the vegetables. The wildlife don't get them all, you say, and they have a variety of things there. They have an arbor here with the grapevine, and this grapevine is just going everywhere, and they're just following it and creating shade wherever the grapevine goes, which is a very natural way to deal with things. And of course, the grapevine provides shade for the very small, limited seeding area. They have pollinator beds. This is like boneset and all native plants. There's a lot of native plants in here, and of course, sage and so on. So there's a lot of nice ideas in this garden. There's more than even this. So that's well worth it. This is excellent. So thank you very much. And thank all of you for all of your work at whatever level you're working at. It's excellent. So now moving ahead a bit, we tried saying, okay, well, let's see if we can put these the certificates in our window or something. And some people did it, and that's what we got, which isn't much of a show. And the idea is to make a distinction, make something, and encourage other people to do it. So what we're trying next is we're going to create yard signs so it's easy to display the certificate, and add a QR code so you can get the information on the yard, you see, and then hopefully hold an environmental garden tour. I think Earth Day might be a little early, but maybe sometime during the summer. And people can put out the signs on the yard, have visitors, and just see how that works. So that's an idea. That's the next idea of what we're trying to do. We're working on putting the gardens, showing the gardens, the yards on the GIS map. And you can see the entry level is a dot, beneficial, you fill in the yard, and distinction has the little star. And there's the first 15, and we have to automate this. I did this by hand. It's an example. I did it. We have to automate this so that as we fill in our spreadsheet with the certificates, then it automatically publishes on here. And the idea is that you can hit a yard and get the picture of the yard, okay? Or you can hit the yard and get information about the yard, okay? So that's where we're headed with this, hopefully with Monmouth University, okay? Now, the next thing is in Google Maps, you can calculate the area of anything, okay? Now there's the area of Beverly's yard minus the house. And what that shows is the maximum potential that could happen, environmental potential that could happen in that yard, okay? So, so yeah, okay, so let me just start again. So that's the technique, okay? But what I did is I took the areas of the things that people did, like if it's a driveway, the area of the driveway, if it's a garden bed, the area of the garden bed, and so on. And for the first 15 certificates, that was the area of that those yards which were there, okay? For the next certificates that we just gave out, that was the area. So those are quite a bit more. There are more certificates, you know? So the current grand total of environmentally beneficial area is 46,000 some square feet. An acre is that, 43,500 square feet. So we have 7% over an acre in that we've identified, okay? But that's existing. This isn't new this year. This is what people have already done, okay? So we're rewarding past efforts, okay? There were some new this year, not much, 130 square feet, and compared with an acre, it's 0.3 of an acre. Our next challenge is to go for, one of our next challenge is to go for adding new area of environmentally a good area, and aim to get an acre on that, okay? So then I looked at Parkway as a typical street, not as typical, but a street. If you take the gross area of Parkway, like the road back to the property line, full length, just a big rectangle, that's the area of Parkway, okay? The open land area, like what I did for Beverly's yard, is 88,000 square feet. That's the potential. That's the most you can have of environmentally beneficial land, unless you remove the house, then it's more. This is the gross area minus the houses, okay? The certificates area along Parkway is a little over 10,000 square feet. So that the environmentally beneficial area along Parkway is 11.9%, okay? 88% is not environmentally beneficial. There is the magnitude of our challenge, okay? If we to improve on that, so we put back some of the environment that we've taken away, okay? Now, our first new improvements. Debbie Hilliard over on Marjoram got a dogwood from the seedling nursery on Lake Memorial Day, and she's actually made it to as a memorial to one of her family members. Okay, Kristen McKelvey planted inkberry hollies along the front of the house. She's put a hummingbird vine along the fence, and she's planted the verge with some lovely wine cups. You'll see them next year. She's over on Pine Terrace. And so the total area of that plus that and that is 130 square feet. So it says there's 130 new square feet. Now we got to get some more new square feet. Okay. What are we going to do in 2022? Okay. Cheers. Now, here's something that sort of comes up a little later, and it's trees. What do we do about trees? They're actually another layer above the garden. You can have native plants underneath trees. And so how do you count it? You see? And are they important? Well, here's the number of butterfly and moth caterpillars supported by different types of trees. Oak supports over 500 different species of butterflies and moths, just not counting birds and squirrels and all the rest of it, nothing like that. Okay. And so it goes. These are all wonderful plants. These are excellent trees. Here's a linden, which is one of its nicknames is the bee tree, because it loves it. It actually supports loads and loads of bees, not just butterflies and moths, but bees. You see. So this is why they're so valuable. But how do you count the area? So what we can do, we have a simple calculation. We'll assume a tree's leaf surface area has a rounded top, okay? And the surface area of a long, like hemisphere is 2 times pi, which is just a number, times the radius from the trunk out to the drip line to the leaf line times the height. Now that's an easy calculation. So for example, a tree that's 20 feet wide by 20 feet high, okay? Well, the radius is 10, 3.14 is pi, and times 20 is the height. The tree's useful area is 1,200 square feet, that tree, okay? The flat surface is pi r squared, and that's like 3 times 10, 10, 300 square feet. So that tree, a 20 by 20 tree, is worth 4 times the area of what's on the ground. And trees are a lot taller than that sometimes, and leaves are more inboard. They're just not all around the surface like a hedge, you see? So I've seen estimates up to 10 times the value of what's on the ground. So trees are starting to count more and more. And I think there was a middle column in my spreadsheet where I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at the surface area of all the trees, of all the certificates we've given out, and put a number on that so we can have a value at that. Okay, so that's how we're folding trees into the whole assessment. So where we go from here, we have our template, the first 15. There was no need to change them. You'd be able to see all the new yards fit somewhere on this template. And we may find a yard which is different, which we've got room to add them over here and stuff like that. So, and people can actually look at this, see if my yard is like this or this or this, and then almost self-certify. So we're going to go around and do more yards. I also did Laurel Terrace. We're going to maybe go over to Briarwood and Pine and Briarwood and just work our way in through the area. Okay, that's with existing, but we're going to focus on also doing the new areas. So now people ask, how do I get help? I go down to the local garden center. What's a native plant? I don't know what they got. You know what I mean? So what we're aiming to do, another thing we're trying to do is to make it easy to do it. Okay. And if you want to poach a whole lot of plants, you can get them wholesale, and they're and tax exempt. If it's on public land, you can do it through the borough. Okay, if it's on your yard, you can come through Candide's Garden, which is a 501c3, a tax exempt nonprofit. Okay, and we can get a bunch of people together and go get the plants. Now here's Pinelands Nursery. I'm going to have to fiddle around with this. I'll show you which is a native plant nursery. Okay, just native plants. Oh, here it came. Okay, so I want to do a new share. Okay. I have to see what's going on here. Okay, here, I think I got it. Let's share this. There we go. Okay, well, here's Pinelands Nursery, and you can get their current availability, find your plants, and so on. Okay, and here they have different kinds of, look at Culver's root, swamp milkweed, and so on. All those good native plants. All right, and you can stay connected with them and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so that's Pinelands Nursery. So let's go back. So if we want to do retail, okay, you've had not that many plants or whatever, there's Pinelands Direct. And here it is here, and the son runs it. And this is for online or pick it up. You can, okay, and here you can shop by, oh, let's look at shop by function. Well, you might want wildlife plants. Okay, oh my God, you can do it by which kind of plants you want. Okay, or you can do by plant type. Oh, yard type. How about this one? Do yard type. How about plants for shady yards? And here you go. Okay. And there's how it works. All right. So that's that one. Now, I don't want to get my hands dirty. I want somebody to plant it for me. Design it and plant it. Okay. Well, here's a company which has just done the trees on the median on Parkway. It's a husband and wife team. Jason was the horticulturist at Rarefine Nursery, which did a large number of native plants around Jackson, and they've had this little company. And let me show you a little bit about this. There are others, but this is a good one. And they've done some good work for us, so we're going with them now. Okay, so I'll play their little video here.
So here we are in the backyard woodland garden in Pine Beach, headquarters of the Little Plant Company. The Little Plant Company ends up being a lot of different things to our clients. We can build a vegetable garden for you. We can plant window boxes for you. We can design a native plant garden for you. We can also sell you a bouquet of flowers. So we've fallen into several interesting and unique niches where we can serve a lot of people with all the different things that we're doing, especially on the garden design end. We really feel like we stand not so much alone, but stand apart from other companies in the fact that there is an educational spin to what we're doing, and we want to empower our clients and homeowners and arm them with the information that we know and that we are passionate about.
On certain occasions, I've had people who have received a bouquet and they've said, wow, these flowers, you know, you grew these flowers and, you know, oh my gosh, well, you can install these plants in my garden so that I can cut these flowers and have them for myself. So we are able to provide cut flower gardens for people where they can empower themselves to grow their own flowers and cut them, and all the while being sources of pollen for insects, butterflies, and making them happy having the flowers in their house and garden.
Okay, so that's one, and I'm working on these sources for you. And then by the time we, you know, start to be the growing season, people buy their plants. It should be much easier. One fellow I was talking to just recently, he said, I want to get rid of the gravel. I want to put a lawn in. And I was going to say, well, okay, maybe you could do something a little more environmentally beneficial than just a lawn. The lawn's great, better than gravel, but you could have maybe some plants. And if you're too busy to, you know, do it yourself, we can help you. Okay, so that's where we were with that. So looking ahead, we're planning to have semi-annual award events, Earth Day, and the EPA anniversary. That was Dr. Weber's idea. So what a great idea. Yeah, and so every year, twice a year, keep doing this. And then there'd be two streams on this. One is to continue recognizing existing eco land and just see where we are, establish that baseline. And second is to encourage and recognize new improvement. And that's where the rubber hits the road. That's where the incentives come in, and awards and stuff like that, which we have to work on to really encourage people. And then of course, eco garden tours, perhaps in midsummer, and maybe annual. I don't know. We'll just have to see. Okay. And then what do we get out of this? What are we hoping to get out of it? First of all, we have increased support for wildlife and pollinators. Okay, that would recreate some of what we took away, okay, and reduce the volume and toxicity of the stormwater entering the lake. And oh, by the way, improve the aesthetics in the neighborhood, make it a nice neighborhood. And the goal by 2024, this is our latest goal, okay, is to have 100 new improvements, and that'll roughly, we'll probably get an acre out of that, okay, which would be like having our little park. But in each separate yard, and then use that to create another of our 6 environmental destinations. So Peter Ventris has some comments I'd like to make. He said again about this being he's very pleased that this is a unique project to Lake Como, which, thinking of attracting people to Lake Como and the reasons to be here, this is this type of project should help out with that. Second thing is he appreciated that it's an excellent presentation with people participating in it, and there's a lot of hard work that people put in, and a lot of creative ideas that have come out of people working on their yards. And almost the most important is the fact that there's a community focus and community participation in this, which is kind of nice. It's not all coming from the borough; it's coming from the community and supporting the borough. So anyway, this is very appreciative. And I'd like to thank Dr. Webb, the people who spoke in the presentation, Dr. Weber, Andrea Thrush from the side door, Heather Butts from the bocce court garden, Victoria and Courtney for their distinctive garden, and of course, Counselor Peter Ventris. So Thank you very much. And thanks for watching. And we'll see you on Earth Day in 2022. Cheers. And that's it. We will end the session now.